So privacy is kind of a big deal when it comes to these personal home speaker assistant things like Google Home and Amazon Echo. Um, Everyone always thinks, "Oh, I put one of these in my house. It's going to be listening to me all the time. It's going to be reporting back to Google and the
CIA.
NSA, and they're going to show up on my doorstep someday and arrest me because I said something." That's the fear, at least. But these things don't really do that. At least they're not supposed to. Pretty big story about the Google Home Mini the last couple of days. A few of the devices that were given away at the Google event, Chris has one of these, were malfunctioning, and they were actually recording almost constantly. Basically, what happened is it's a little touch sensitive area on the top of the Google Home Mini, and you can tap that to like manually get Assistant to listen to you instead of saying the command. But these devices were malfunctioning, and they were thinking that that button was getting tapped almost like repeatedly. And so the people that have been affected by this, they open up their My Activity page in their Google account, and it's just thousands and thousands of short little snippets of recordings. Now, Chris, you don't have this problem on yours, right?
No, mine's working pretty well. But I will say that it is extremely sensitive when you touch, because like the top of it's like a fabric, but I guess it's some sort of touch fabric. So I mean, like you barely just brush it. It's like so much more sensitive than like a capacitive glass on your phone or something. But like you barely brush against it, changes the volume or it activates Assistant. So I mean, it kind of makes a little bit of sense how this would be activated through, accidentally, I guess.
Yeah. And so Chris doesn't have the issue, and like it is a very small amount of people. It's only the devices that were given away at the event, and it's not even all of those. And Google has said that the retail models will not have this problem. They've actually sent out a fix to the Made by Google event ones, which just disables the button. That's all. So it's like a quick little fix. But it's interesting just because, people already think that these things are listening all the time. And then this happens, and you see a lot of these comments today like, well, I thought they were always listening anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think people really understand how they actually work.
Yeah, how voice activation stuff works. It's not technically like recording and listening to everything you say, but it will. It's not like the way the human ear works, I guess. But I mean, it waits for the hot word and then it starts listening after that. So.
I think people don't understand that part because they're like, well, how is it not listening all the time if it's listening for that word? And the way that I described it to someone was, think of it like a dog. A dog hears you all the time, but it only understands a few phrases like its name, sit, stand. So it's listening to you all the time, but it doesn't really understand you unless you say something that it recognizes. That's what these speakers are like. They are listening to you all the time, but they don't actually take action until they recognize a phrase.
I've never heard that analogy before, but I like that.
I like that a lot. Yeah, it's a good one, Joe. But it's interesting too because anybody can go into their Google history, the voice history stuff, and you can see all the phrases and all the commands that you've given, like OK Google, or the search queries you've done, and it's like they keep a record.
You can even listen to them,
and you can listen to them of your voice speaking these things, little audio clips, which Google of course uses to like improve their services and whatnot. But it's all there. I mean, they're pretty transparent about it. But
yeah, that is the cool part. That people who were affected by this could actually see that what was going on. It wasn't just like this mysterious thing happening in the background that they knew nothing about.
Yeah, that's a great point, because he wouldn't have even known otherwise if it was, logging. It was only because he went into his voice search history stuff and he saw all these like, wait a minute, it's recording everything. Something's wrong here. So yeah. Thanks, Google.
Yeah. And then, so like I said, small issue to a small amount of devices. But I'm guessing that the people who are already suspicious of these things are not going to feel any better with this news happening. But Google, they did quickly and promptly fix it. They're very transparent about it, like Chris said. So hopefully this is a good lesson for them in the future, not to take these things too lightly. This has been the Fancast. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.